All right, here we are. This is episode 12 of On That Note. I am in Los Angeles with my former roommate and incredibly talented musician, Ruben Wan. We are here to talk all things guitar and music and Instagram and all of that jazz. Where I wanted to start, Ruben, was the format of Instagram is kind of interesting because it's a short time frame.
Yes.
It's a visual medium, so there's some sort of video. You can't just post like a black screen and music. So when you could, yes. Most people don't.
Yeah, people won't like it though.
But when you're sitting down to start and find an Instagram video and start to develop ideas for it, what kinds of things are you thinking about?
For Instagram?
Mm-hmm. Specifically for Instagram, and then we'll just talk music in a moment.
I mean, are you asking about the video or the content of the guitar playing?
So both.
Okay, video-wise, the format of Instagram is vertical in the first place. So people tend to like vertical videos more than horizontal videos. So you have to take that in mind. What I do usually is I shoot my videos at white, and then I do a lot of keyframing for the people that know about video editing. So when you keyframe it into the vertical size video, that gives you the ability to move it, to pan it left or right, and that's how I make it follow my fingers.
Yeah, you'll do it when you like. Yeah.
So the trick is to shoot it white. But then when you're on Final Cut Pro or like Premiere or whatever, you just put the resolution. The 4:5 ratio resolution of Instagram is basically let me think about it.
The math.
It's 1080 times 1350.
Okay.
That's how you get the tall vertical. Because there's the squared vertical. I mean that's okay, but the tall vertical is better.
The square vertical.
Yeah.
Got it. And then musically, you have a minute.
Yes.
That's kind of your deadline. Are you like always trying to get a full minute, or do you ever go shorter?
No, I mean,
just whatever you're feeling.
If whatever I'm playing requires an entire minute, I'll make it the minute. But people's attention span is between 35 to 45 seconds, I would say. Yeah. Unless like it makes sense for it to be even longer, and that's when you like keep adding like videos. You can minute and then the second minute and the third minute. But usually what will attract people more to your video is 35 to 45 seconds. That way people can keep repeating and repeating. Yeah, and the content that does the best is the content that people can learn. So it's cool to add like a nice little lick or like some hard riffs, but the most important thing is to make sure that everything grooves properly. And when everything grooves properly, people are going to be attracted to it and they're going to want to learn it. And when they want to learn it, that's when your content gets, I don't have a better term, but hot. So people are going to keep watching it, rewatching it, saving it, liking it, sharing it to their friends. And then like a group of young people, they're going to sit together and try to like learn your piece. And when they try to learn your piece, maybe like a month later, when they actually have it down, they're gonna post it on their social media, and that gives you attention, and then you feel good because they're learning your stuff too. So and the cycle keeps repeating. Then you come up with the second video, people learn it, people save it, blah 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 blah.
On and on.
Yeah.
Got it. And so to go from kind of general ideas about Instagram to I wanted to look at a specific video that you made. I think it was back in May. It was called Insecurities. We talked about that. That song has 3 loops on it, essentially. Yeah. Do you usually start with the first one, like that kind of background, that thing?
I'm endorsed by Strandberg, by the way. And that song, I play it on a 7 string because it just feels nicer to slap on the 7 string. I came up with the... I can't play it right now, but I came up with that riff first.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I had 2 choices, whether to keep doing that and then adding the melody down below, or just keep it as like the bass line, and then add some harmonic content on top and make it a loop together, and then solo over it. So I went with the second route, obviously. Okay. So I did the slap first. It is 2 layers of loop and then just
the solo.
Okay.
That very spacey sus chord.
Oh yeah. Because the slap part feels very staccato-ish, I wanted the chords to be a little more
really
open.
smooth.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how to play counterpoint, but I really like the concept of like black and white, or like if something is very short, the other part has to be long. Yeah.
Okay.
Or like if something feels close, which is like staccato, you want something else to contrast it being open.
Yeah, and being more legato.
Yeah.
Cool.
And now I do it subconsciously, but in the past I tried to make it a point. Like now it just happens like it just somehow happened to be like something short, something long, and then it came together.
Something smooth and something a little bit more staccato. Cool. And then so because harmonically it's interesting, especially that like the melody makes sense. I think that's a really cool moment too when you go to that chord over the that F sharp bass line. That chord over that bass line. Are you just going for something like kind of airy and spacey, or is there some sort of like specific harmonic idea you got there?
When I came up with the bass line, like the chord progression was just like I already knew the progression.
Yeah.
But instead of doing it with boring chords, instead of doing whatever I just did, I tried to came up with a melody-ish chordy thing.
Yeah.
And then because none of those chords were long and big, I decided to make the last one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's usually the idea. Like turnarounds are so important because that determines the feel of it. Like instead of doing like this, people can do like a feel like I don't know. Like can do like a little feel instead of. It's up to you, and I just decided to go with the
that kind of more spacey sound.
Spacey chord.
Yeah. Nice.
It's just a F sharp minor 7. Yeah. I mean minor 11.
Minor 11, yeah. That being there. But it sounds. I hear so much of an A sus too
Yeah,
there.
you do hear it. Yeah.
Like it's crazy how you. I mean the bass line obviously.
Because this is just the 6 minor of A, right?
Yeah.
So there's also this, and when you open everything, it's like a mixture of both worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the 6 minor of A.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that chord a lot. And then when you're going to build the lead part over it, obviously you're still kind of thinking in terms of contrast. That's something that you said that was a big idea to you. But it starts off with that very kind of like groovy section. And obviously you want, like you said, you want it to be learnable, but you want to throw some flash in there.
Of course.
Because it's Instagram.
Yeah.
And so
that's what catches people's attention. Yeah.
How do you balance those two things? Like, are there ever times when you like just have a solo that's like way too crazy and you're like, I need to dial it back, or
nothing I play is way too crazy. But what was it? I forgot how I came to this. I think I had this interval stuck in my mind.
Okay.
That's how the solo starts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is based on the C sharp minor pentatonic shape. Yeah. So I had that interval stuck in my mind. I don't know if you remember like Carver Hine from MI.
Yeah.
He used to do a lot of like based on the pentatonic shapes. Like he would skip the in between strings. Like yeah. So that's how the solo starts. I just like it's just like at the spot. It's like a 1 second decision. It's like I want to start the solo with that interval. Like yeah. And that became the start of every single call and response in the solo. Because I keep doing that many times, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, and that's great. Because that's I love the because it's like a dotted 16th.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very R&B melody. Yeah. Basically this. it's super R&B. Like you if you learn that melody, you like every time you listen to an R&B song, like it'll pop
You'll
up.
find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is just the 9.
Yeah. And but it just the rhythm of it is so great because it's like.
Because it's
nice
the same
pause.
rhythm 2 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it jumps into you do the kind of flat 5-y thing.
I actually do it. I stole this from a friend. His name is Elijah. He's on tour with Travis Green right now, gospel artist.
Shout out Travis Green.
Shout out and Elijah. So there's 2 ways of doing that. I like to do it a lot here.
Okay.
Like I hold the top note too because it makes it sound like a double stop. And here it would be. Yeah. So you got 2 ways of doing it. And it's just nice. Instead of like you hold the other one, and it's like
a little more crunch.
pedal tone,
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And then it goes into that kind of that monster ending lick. The real flash is right there.
Yeah.
And where did that? Because this is a really interesting kind of lick, a really interesting shape, and it's got a lot of stuff going on in it harmonically.
There was a time in my life where I really like stuff like that, which is basically like 3 to 4, like. So let's say E major, right? Like the third into the 4, and then and I used to play like with all the shapes that derive from it, and then I think how I came up with that lick was it's just the major shapes. Like let's say let's play all the E majors. Yeah. Where's the next one? Yeah. Yeah. So for this one it would be sorry. Right? Like 3, 4, da-da. And then where's the third here? I would do it like that. So sorry, let me reiterate that. It's not 3 to 4.
Yeah.
It's just the lowest note go up.
Lowest note goes up, yeah.
Yeah. Or there's like, you can play with variations of that. Like I used to have like a whole set of exercises I did like 2 or 3 years ago. Basically that derives from that. Yeah.
And then one of those repeating pentatonic things.
I stole this. A bunch of people do it, but the specific person I stole this from was, do you know this blues player like Brandon, like very young, like Afro,
not off the top of my head.
super young Afro, like he has an Afro, like blues guitar player, super good. He's like 15 or so. I don't know how old is he, but he's definitely
some age that makes you feel bad about yourself.
Yes, exactly. And he does that a lot, like.
Yeah, and it descends perfectly back into the.
Yeah, exactly. That was on purpose.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was on purpose. Like.
Yeah. So that's just a great moment of clarity.
Yeah.
Just like perfectly.
I didn't play it super in time, but I was tired of doing the take, so I just kept the whatever one you see on Instagram. Like that's not perfect, but that's the one I just kept.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so that's I think that's a cool little breakdown of that piece. So I want to end with kind of 2 questions. One is, for those of you who don't know, audience members, you have you're trilingual. You speak 3 languages, and you learned those languages as you were growing up. He speaks Spanish. Is it Mandarin, right? Not Cantonese.
No. I speak English, music, and love.
Oh, English, music, and love. Yes. It's Mandarin though, right?
I'm so lame. Cantonese.
Cantonese. Okay.
Cantonese. Yeah.
And then English as well.
Yeah.
His first language was Spanish, interestingly enough. And so I'm curious, did your did your process of learning languages growing up and the fact that you have so much experience learning languages, do you think that helped you learn music, or how did it affect the way that you learned music?
Basically, I started with Spanish, right?
Yeah.
I tried to think of it as Spanish and Chinese at the same time, because like I would go back home and it was enforced. The Cantonese was like, if I didn't speak Cantonese, my parents wouldn't answer me.
Mm-hmm.
And at school, of course, you have to speak Spanish because everybody's speaking Spanish. I think how it affected me was being able to switch. Like, at this point, it's no longer a switch,
Mm-hmm.
but it used to be like being able to quickly switch from one language to the other one. I think music is the same. Like music, you can broadly speak of it as one language, but in fact, every single key is its own language. Especially when it comes to like guitar or piano, some things are easier to do in one key, some things are harder to do in the other key. But every single key has its own characteristics.
Characteristics.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
See, English is not my first language. And I think it's the same. Like, I mean, guitar players have it easier, like, cause you know everything.
Frets. Yeah.
Everything is frets. But even in a fretted situation.
Well, I mean, even like this chord sounds so much different.
Yeah, exactly.
Than this chord.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was telling you yesterday, like my favorite chord, it only applies in G sharp minor.
Yeah.
Because like if you want to make this voicing, you either have to have a capo or like extremely flexible fingers.
Yeah.
So that's how I think of it, as every key has two different worlds, because different keys have different voicings options, especially for guitar players, that make it sound like really cool. Like a lot of like open string licks like can only be done in certain keys too. That's one of them, like being able to switch between languages quickly and think fast. Another way that learning multiple languages has affected me is I can hear details better. Yeah, I'm not saying that my accent will come out right, but I can hear perfectly when my accent is wrong compared to like native speakers. And it applies to music. Like when I'm trying to transcribe something, I'm very aware of not playing the exact same lick. If I'm not playing it with the right articulation, or I'm missing like a specific note, I can hear it right away. It may be a good thing or a bad thing, like but yeah, like when I'm transcribing like chromatic things, if I miss one single note, I can tell right away, and it makes me feel so uncomfortable. So it's good because I'll get the lick properly, but it's bad because it makes you anxious, very anxious. Yeah. And how I usually transcribe, like using this skill, is I like to be very specific when I'm learning stuff. Like if you pull like this, I want to do it the exact same way, and then I'll change it up into my own way. But the first time I learn it, it has to be exactly how the player is doing it. Like if he picked or raked or whatever, I need to do it the exact same way, and then I can decide whether I want to or like however I want to do it. But if the first one he did it like this, I'm gonna learn it like that. Yeah,
that's cool.
And that's the same with language.
Do you think it's helped at all with your ability to like play different genres?
Different genres.
Because I mean, especially
genres is also like that's
a form of language.
Language, yeah. Like it's even good thing you brought it up, because it's even deeper than keys.
Yeah. Like
genres, it's definitely like catching the certain idioms. Like English has its own like idioms and things you say that even though somebody learned English in a different country, you won't know the idioms from like LA or like from Arizona. And same with playing different genres, like R&B, like that stuff. It doesn't apply in like
rock.
Example, like I mean you could do it, but it won't be authentic. And that's when like fusion music comes, and then you can blend everything. But if you're like playing an actual rock song with the specific parts, you won't try to add that. Yeah. And it has helped me that I can identify really easily, oh, this is specific to R&B, this is specific to rock, this is specific to Latin. And then I can like take them together and blend them together, but I have them separated very carefully. Like this is R&B. Like these are R&B licks. These are R&B things. When I hear them from somebody, I know that's an R&B lick. That's a rock lick. That's a Latin lick or whatever. Yeah.
That's cool.
It has definitely helped me.
Yeah, I'm sure. I couldn't imagine it wouldn't.
Yeah.
And then the last question I usually like to ask is, what is something you wished you had learned earlier, or that you had been able, like someone had taught you earlier, that you think would have saved you time or effort?
Transcribing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've always been like into transcribing. I remember one time when we used to live together, I think I used to have a desk outside and Jacob would transcribe inside. And then one time he came out, I was probably transcribing like Guthrie Govan or something. And you were like, oh, how long does that usually takes you to transcribe? I'm like, maybe a week. For like 15 seconds or like 20 seconds. Like, or I don't remember like a specific time, but it was something like 2 hours every 5 to 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then after a week, I'm able to play 1 minute of like Guthrie Govan. Now that I look at it, like, I mean, I've improved a lot, right? Like, so it takes me way less. But if something takes me as much as that now, I will get so bored. Yeah. Like my attention span has went down so much. Sorry, what was the question again?
So what was one you wish you had learned to transcribe?
To transcribe way earlier, because I didn't transcribe until I came to LA, which was 5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years ago, and I've been playing like. Not like seriously. I used to play like acoustic guitar, singer-songwriter stuff before coming to LA. Like, but even when I did that, I did not transcribe. Like, it was literally going to Ultimate Guitar, you know, like one of those random tap websites, and you're like looking at the chord chart, and like, okay, that's a G, or like, yeah, and like, I never really transcribed until I came to LA, and I feel like. More important than learning your harmony theory, more important than learning how to sight read. Like, I think transcribing is the steroids of playing music. Yeah, because once you properly learn a lick, it's so easy to switch it up from instrument to instrument. Like, instead of trying, like, there's a difference between transcribing a lick and learning a lick. Like, if I show you a lick and then you're able to play it, it's not as ingrained as you trying to listen note by note, like what's happening. Like, and once you're so intently trying to learn something, it's ingrained into you. So you can go to a different instrument like a keyboard or a bass, and if you know the melody by heart, like you can just play it right away. Like, I mean, it will take you a couple fumbles, but like it's already in you. Yeah. And I feel like that would have been the best advice somebody would have given me. Like, just transcribe anything. Like if you hear a sound like just transcribe any type of, like any type of rhythms. If a bird is humming something, like just transcribe that. Yeah, anything helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Is there anything that you want to plug? Anything you got coming up that is? I mean, obviously I'll put links to your Instagram and all that stuff, but. Any big projects? Anything?
Non-divulgable.
Non-divulgable?
Divulgable.
Okay.
I have projects that are non-divulgable, but I am coming up with my EP sometime in the early next year, like January or February. I'm trying to release a single before the end of the year. Okay. So keep an eye on that.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ruben.
No problem. Let's play a chord to end this.
Okay, chord to end it?
Yeah. You want to play that one?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remy, this is your chord.
There you go, Remy.